Well, no one told me about her, the way she lied. Well, no one told me about her, how many people cried. But it's too late to say you're sorry. How would I know? Why should I care? Please don't bother trying to find her. She's not there. Well, let me tell you about the way she looked, the way she had said, the color of her hair. Her voice was soft and cool, her eyes were clear and bright, but she's not there.
Chapter 43. War. It's good for this. Shar. I was expecting to see plenty of combat, but I wasn't expecting this. Sheila. That makes 2 of us. Ilana. Make that 3, 4, 5, and 6 of us. The others all agreed with Ilana. They all got very quiet as the party moved to attack the clerics and the undead. Kurth and Bale just looked at each other, not really sure what to say, but they both wondered what was going through Sheila's mind. Sheila, thinking to herself, I want to help them more, but I can't, because what's the point then? If I just let them win, then this was all just a silly game. I have to just sit here and let it all play out. So why do I so badly want to help them, more so than I already have? Yet I know that to do so would be to violate everything that I stand for. Ilana reached over and held her hand. Sheila looked over at her. Ilana, it's okay. I'm Tenneth's deity. This is just as intense for me too. But we're here to observe now, nothing more. You've provided them with the help that they needed. It's up to them now. Sheila, I know. Yet I'm finding it somewhat difficult, which kind of puzzles me, knowing who and what you and I are. Ilana, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Just take a breath and relax, and you'll be fine. Sheila, I should be. After all, I've been watching adventurers for almost 1,000 years now. It's not like this is new for me. Ilana, well, I'm in 2 other worlds in addition to yours, so even though you've been around for 1,000 years, I know a little more about what you're experiencing now. They are one of, if not your favorite group of adventurers that you've ever guided, and this is, without a doubt, the most intense battle that they're now about to engage in. So it's only natural for you to feel some of the anxiety that comes with this. Shar, if they all worshipped me, all the clerics and zombies and skeletons would already be destroyed. Simple. Ilana just looked at Sheila, who just looked right back at her, and they then communicated to each other telepathically in a way that Moradin and Shar had no clue what they were saying. Yes, I see the problem, and now I see why she's here with us. To show us the error of that kind of thinking, even though we already know the error of that kind of thinking. Yet seeing how she's responding just makes it that much clearer. Funny how fate has brought her here, isn't it? Funny how now it kind of just makes sense why she's here. Yeah. Weird how fate works, huh? Yep, very. Sheila took a breath and just relaxed and watched as the battle began. Arrows, spears, daggers, and hammers flew at the clerics and the undead. Shocked that they were being attacked inside their temple, the clerics immediately started casting spells, while the skeletons and zombies ran at the adventurers. In the hall were 14 clerics, 7 of which were women, along with 12 skeletons and 12 zombies. More missiles were fired, while Tenneth tried to turn them, but only 3 skeletons were affected. Jack and Phileas both cast sleep, and 8 clerics collapsed, but were quickly awakened by the other clerics. But all who fell asleep had their spells disrupted. But some of the others did manage to get both a curse and a bless spell of their own to go off, which basically leveled the playing field as far as each other's attacks were concerned. The missile fire had taken out 2 clerics now, as well as 2 skeletons and 1 zombie. Shinfia now moved to the front with her undead slaying sword, along with Nightwind, Lightmane, Jilgrath, and Nog. Latia tried to stay behind Nightwind and fire her bow over his head, as well as her earth bow. The 20-foot wide hallway gave John and Bill enough room to keep firing arrows, while Jack and Jilgrath both cast magic missile, targeting a cleric, which disrupted their spells. But some of their spells went off, and Jack and Phileas stopped moving, and immediately the clerics started casting more spells. Belfin and Tico had nowhere to hide, so Belfin moved next to Nightwind and attacked with his enchanted dagger, while Tico stayed by the Puma, who was moving up along the east wall and used her camouflage ability to blend in with the wall, making her fairly difficult to see. The summoned hobgoblins and lizardmen and Earth Devil all attacked the undead. They all damaged some, but they were all damaged by the undead as well. The entire battle scene had become quite chaotic, with creatures everywhere now. The zombies and skeletons mindlessly continued their attacks, while Shinfia's sword sliced through a zombie, killing it, while Nightwind's hammer killed a skeleton. Jilgrath, fighting with 2 weapons now, had his crystal dagger badly wound a zombie, while his sword finished it. Nog's flail smashed a skeleton, but a zombie attacked him and its flesh met his, damaging the bugbear, but Nog was unaffected by the fear that it caused. Shinfia was able to block and dodge the undead's attack, as were most of the others, but one skeleton's scimitar cut into Belfin, while Lightmane's sword damaged the zombie. John and Bill both fired their arrows at the clerics, and one of them hit, and Latia's earthbow wounded another, while Latia decided to try out a spell she had never cast before called Sunscorch, which was supposed to be very effective against undead. A brilliant ray of scorching heat came from above a zombie and struck it, and it fell. Each hobgoblin slightly damaged a skeleton again, but the skeletons and zombies that were attacking them killed them both, while the lizardmen and the earth devil damaged 3 of the zombies, but they were also both badly wounded now. 2 clerics who were behind the others had hammers appear in the air next to them. Seeing the hammers reminded everyone of Jarlin, the evil priest. So Tennant decided to try to cast Hold Person on the clerics. Decided that trying to cast hold Person on the clerics was more important than keeping 3 skeletons at bay. So he released the skeletons from the hold that he had on them and started casting Hold Person, targeting both of the priests. Half of the other clerics had no other spells left to cast, and the other half cast Protection from Good on themselves, and were now also out of spells, so they all backed up by the 2 priests, and let the undead engage the adventurers for now. 8 zombies and 8 skeletons were still attacking the party, so Latia pulled her sword and engaged them, but her earth bow had 2 shots left, so she had it fire at one of the priests, but the arrow didn't penetrate their plate armor. A skeleton hit Tenneth with its scimitar, which disrupted his spell. Shinfia's sword killed another zombie, and Jilgrath killed another skeleton. Lightmane killed the wounded zombie, as Tenneth's Protection from Evil spell that was on him helped protect him from their attacks. Nightwind and Nog both wounded a zombie, but one of the zombies hit Belfin, who started to cower in fear, while a skeleton sword cut into Shinfia slightly. Latia struck a skeleton with her sword, but it barely did any damage. John and Bill kept firing at the clerics, but neither did any damage. One of the priest's hammers flew at Lightmane, but missed. The other flew at Shinfia, but she was able to dodge it. The party was still outnumbered, but the battle seemed to be turning in their favor. But then Raisha, the leader of the temple, appeared. She was beautiful. She had long blonde hair and wore a long dark purple robe. Underneath it was a beautiful suit of plate armor. In her hand was a beautiful looking large shield and a staff that seemed to resemble a snake. With her were 3 zombies who were wearing plate armor and carried battle axes. Next to them were 2 men and 1 woman. The 2 men looked like warriors. They both wore plate armor and carried a large shield and longsword, while the woman had no armor, but held a staff in her hand. Raisha, smiling now, cried out, You are greatly outnumbered. Surrender, and we will spare your lives." The party thought they were just starting to get the upper hand, but when Raisha appeared with 3 heavily armored zombies and 2 warriors, and what they believed was a wizard, fear once again started to come into their minds. The clerics and undead alone still posed a threat, but they seemed to be winning. But now Raisha was right. They were greatly outnumbered, and all hope seemed lost. Shar. Oh well, they fought well, but they should surrender now. Of course, if they do, I'm guessing she has the means to turn them into zombies. That, or she'll just lock them up and let them rot. Maybe it's better that they fight to the death after all. Too bad that one renegade bugbear couldn't convince the others to fight the clerics. But that clearly was wishful thinking. Shar clearly didn't realize that Nog, along with Kirk, had succeeded in rallying most of the monsters of the valley to the temple, and that they were all outside the entrance now, waiting for the signal from the puma. Sheila was still worried, though, for Raisha and her 3 companions were all quite powerful. She knew that without the monsters' help, that the party would almost certainly be defeated. Sheila communicating now telepathically with the puma. Well, Latia, let's hope that Kirk's strategy with the kobolds works on Raisha like it did against the party. Call them forth. Sheila then grabbed Ilana's hand tightly. The passage that led to the cave entrance was in between the undead and the clerics. Latia, the great white puma, let out a loud roar. All the clerics, along with Raisha and the others, were all shocked when they saw the enormous white puma seem to just appear along the east wall. But a moment later, and the sound of many creatures charging into the temple sent them into disarray. The undead mindlessly kept attacking the adventurers, but now, charging into the temple, were Kirk the kobold, with 4 male kobolds, 10 female kobolds, and 14 young kobolds. With him came 5 male bugbears, 8 female bugbears, and 6 young bugbears, along with 3 hobgoblins, 2 gnolls, and 3 goblins. All the kobolds, except for Kirk, swarmed all over the clerics and started grabbing and biting them, while all the other monsters attacked everyone else. Raisha couldn't believe what was happening. All the monsters that lived in the valley, kobolds, goblins, orcs, hobgoblins, gnolls, and bugbears, were all attacking her and her army. Raisha cried out, "What are you doing? I'm the high priestess of this valley. You all serve me. They're the enemy. Attack them, not us." But the monsters all ignored her commands and kept attacking. Raisha and her army were now greatly outnumbered, and the clerics weren't able to cast spells, thanks to all the kobolds grabbing and biting them. Raisha's 3 zombie guards and the 2 warriors attacked back, while Raisha and the woman who was with her started casting a spell. But now it was the bugbear's turn. Under Kirk's direction, the female bugbears and their kids all started grabbing and biting Raisha and the 3 who were with her. All the biting and grabbing disrupted the women's spells, and several of the clerics dropped their weapons. Each male bugbear attacked one of her zombie guards, while all of the other monsters kept attacking everyone else. At this point, Gluguk and Misha appeared in the entrance hall with 13 male orcs. None of them engaged anyone in battle, though, as Gluguk wouldn't allow it, still fearing Raisha and her undead army. But now they all were just standing there, dumbfounded at what they were seeing. Shar. Wait, the bugbear succeeded? How? This is incredible. I can't believe what I'm watching. Shar was totally into the battle now, shocked as much as Raisha was, how everything had just completely turned around in the party's favor. Sheila saw the excitement in Shar's eyes and just smiled. The puma started knocking skeletons and zombies all over the place, but the undead continued to mindlessly attack back and wounded the puma and others. Several of the party members were wounded now, and some of the monsters were wounded as well, while some were now lying on the ground, unconscious or dead. But soon all of the undead were destroyed, and most of the clerics were either dead or lying unconscious on the ground. 2 zombie guards had fallen, along with 1 bugbear. Raisha and the others were starting to knock kobolds and bugbear kids off of them, but they were having a very hard time attacking anyone and were all pretty badly wounded now from all of the stabbing and biting. Of the 14 clerics, only 2 priests were still standing, 1 man and 1 woman. All the other clerics had fallen, and the party now moved up to engage them all. Latia called out to Raisha, "It is now you who are greatly outnumbered. Surrender, and we will spare your lives." Raisha, desperate now, but refusing to surrender. "Never!" Latia, "Then it's time to die." Several females and kids, along with 2 goblins, 1 gnoll, and 1 hobgoblin, were now lying on the ground, unconscious or dead, so the rest fled as the adventurers attacked. But just before they did, one of the kobolds bit Raisha in her arm, and she dropped her staff. The staff hit the ground and then turned into a snake and coiled around a bugbear and just held it. Latia and Jilgrath engaged Raisha, while Shinfia engaged the badly wounded female wizard who stood next to Raisha. Nightwind and Lightmane attacked one of the wounded warriors, and Nog attacked the other one, while Tenneth attacked the male priest, and John and Bill attacked the female priest. Belfin and Tico were waiting for a space where they could attack from behind, but they were all up against the north wall, so they just waited for now. Latia the Puma also just sat there and watched, ready to leap on someone, if she needed to. Raisha stared down Latia and Jilgrath, appearing very confident in her ability to deal with them. Raisha hit Jilgrath with her mace, hurting him. Latia swung her sword, but Raisha's armor absorbed the damage. The armored zombie hit a bugbear, wounding it good, but the bugbear's flail smashed into it, and it fell. The bugbear then attacked Raisha, but she easily blocked it. Shinfia attacked the wizard with her hands, hurting her, but the wizard swung her staff and hit Shinfia in her side, wounding her good. The warrior hit Nog, hurting him, but Nog's flail smashed into his side, and he fell. The priest hit John, hurting him bad. John missed, but Bill's sword cut into her flesh, and she fell. The rest of the monsters all gathered by the puma and just stood there and watched, ready to fight again if needed, while Gluguk and the orcs just stood where they were and did nothing. The warrior hit Nightwind, damaging him badly, but Nightwind and Lightmane's attacks both connected, and the badly wounded warrior fell. He was still conscious, but was barely moving. The priest hit Tenneth with his mace, wounding him badly, but Tenneth's mace also found its target, and the cleric fell. Raisha's mace smashed into Jilgrath, and he dropped to his knees, barely conscious now. The wizard swung her staff at Shinfia again, but she easily avoided it this time, and her hand struck the wizard in her side and stunned her. The bugbear and Latia swung at Raisha again, and again Raisha easily blocked their attacks as her mace smashed into the bugbear, wounding it badly. As Gluguk saw them all missing Raisha, and Raisha hitting all of them, he was certain that she would destroy them all. But this time Latia's sword was somehow able to cut into Raisha's flesh good, and the powerful cleric let out a scream as she fell to the ground, but was still alive. When Gluguk saw Raisha fall, his jaw dropped, but then he immediately moved into the hallway and ordered the orcs with him to move up, which they did, while Misha stayed by his side. Tenneth and the others immediately started going around binding the wounds of the monsters who had fallen but were still alive. Latia, surrender or die. What's it going to be, Raisha? Raisha, looking somewhat surprised. You know my name? May I have the privilege and honor of knowing the name of the woman who has defeated me in battle? Latia, my name is Latia, but I didn't defeat you in battle. That would be all the kobolds and bugbear women and children who grabbed and bit you and badly wounded you, along with all the other monsters here who helped us. We all merely finished what they started. All the monsters who lived in this valley that you've ruled over are the ones who have defeated you. Raisha, I don't understand. How did you get them to turn on me? You're the enemy. Why did they attack us and not you? Latia, they became loyal to us when we spared their lives, in exchange for them stopping their attacks on the road. We had no idea they'd all come attack you, though. Latia looked over at the puma now. I guess we got a little help in that department. The spell that was holding Jack and Phileas came to an end, and they both moved up. Raisha looked up into Latia's eyes now. I am the Lady of the Valley. I am the leader here. You all must serve me. As Raisha said those words, she rose up quickly and swung her mace at Latia. Though badly wounded, she was still able to fight, but had been letting them think she was finished this entire time. Seeing her rise up, though, Lightmane, Jack, and Phileas immediately started casting a spell. Latia went all defense, yet Raisha's mace was still somehow able to connect and damaged her badly, almost knocking her to the ground. Latia swung back, but Raisha easily blocked her attack and started laughing, just as 4 magic missiles, 2 from Jack and 1 each from Phileas and Lightmane, cut into her flesh, and she fell to the ground, dead. The moment Raisha died, the snake that held the bugbear turned back into a staff. Jilgrath, now seeing Gluguk just standing there with Misha by his side, walked up to Latia and spoke. Latia, if some of these clerics and others are still alive, I would like to try to save them and see if I and others can get them to turn and change their ways. They would make great allies if we could somehow reach them. Will you allow me and others to try to bind their wounds, and would you and Tenneth be willing to use your herbs and healing salve on them? Jilgrath wanted Gluguk, along with everyone else, to see him asking a woman for permission. Latia, surprised at his words. Well, Jilgrath, I'm still trying to process all that just happened here, but if you wish to try to reach and save these people, I think you should be allowed to. So go ahead. Tenneth and I will assist. I just want to check something with everyone, though. This isn't a dream, right? This really just happened, yes? Did we really just defeat the temple by having all the monsters come here and fight on our side? Did that really just happen? Jack. Yep, we won because the monsters helped us defeat those who ruled over them. No, you're not dreaming. Unless, of course, we're both having the same dream, he said, smiling. Everyone felt the same way. No one could believe that all the monsters came together and fought on their side. Gluguk didn't, but his actions were what they assumed the other monsters' actions would be, to stay out of it and not get involved. For if Raisha defeated them, then they'd all have to answer to her. But the victory was so overwhelming that everyone was still shocked at what just happened, and were still having a hard time processing it all. Especially Gluguk. How did this happen? How did you defeat Raisha? I don't understand. Jilgrath. Rule number 1, Gluguk. Take away a spellcaster's ability to cast spells, and you weaken them greatly. Rule number 2. Raisha was definitely more powerful than any of us, and some of her people here may have been also. But against all of us, there was nothing they could do. Just as without all those here who helped us, Raisha probably defeats us. Jilgrath then walked up to Latia, the great white puma. I don't know if you can hear me, but thanks to you, we were victorious. I don't know how you did it, but we all owe you our life. Jilgrath then took a knee before her, and all the monsters did likewise. So the adventurers did as well. Tico just smiled. Everyone took out healing potions and either drank one or gave one to a wounded monster to drink. About half of the clerics were still alive, along with one of the warriors and the other woman. As they laid there unconscious, all their gear was carefully removed. 1 bugbear kid, 2 kobold kids, 1 kobold female, and 1 goblin were dead. All the rest were unconscious and appeared stable. Some of the monsters were crying over the fallen, while Jilgrath talked to the party about what to do with the clerics. Jilgrath. I wish there was a way to raise our fallen, if only I had that kind of power. How about we lock up the clerics in the bugbear's prisons? If we can tie their hands, they won't be able to cast any spells once they regain consciousness. Nog. We have handcuffs that we can put on some of them. We'll tie the others' hands. That way they'll still be able to eat. Latia. That all sounds good. Are you coming with us to explore the rest of this place, or will you be going with the bugbears to lock them up? Nog. I will make sure they are all locked up and kept stable. If you want me to join you, you know where to find me. Gluguk, I am going back to my lair. Gluguk then turned to Jograth. If that is all right with you. Jograth, yes, that's fine. Once the adventurers are finished here, I will call everyone together and we will discuss our new lives here in the valley, free from Raisha and the clerics. Some of the monsters helped carry their wounded back to their caves, while the rest all helped carry the clerics and the others to the bugbear cave, leaving just Jograth and the adventurers. While this was happening, Shinfia walked up to Jograth. It sounds like you're the new leader here. Normally, that would have concerned us, but after watching you ask Latia for permission in front of Gluguk and all the others, I have to say, Jograth, that I'm quite impressed with you. Of course, you didn't ask me for permission, just Latia, she said, smiling. Jograth, you're right. An oversight on my part, I assure you, he said, smiling back. Tico, Mom and I will come with you now, as we'd like to see the rest of this place. Are you going to live here now, Jograth? Maybe we can come here sometimes and visit you. Jograth, well, let's see what else is here and how big this place is before we go deciding who's going to live where and do what. Tico, okay, good idea. Before they started exploring again, first they checked all the belt pouches that they took off everyone, which were all filled with coins. The total haul was around 600 copper, 300 silver, and 30 gold coins, while Raisha had 100 silver, 50 gold, and 20 platinum coins. She also wore a ring that was set with a black gem, which they took off of her when they removed everyone's gear. At first they were all quite shocked at how much money there was, but then realized that it made sense that Raisha and the clerics would have a lot of coins on them. Jack then cast Detect Magic on all the gear. Raisha's armor and shield and staff all radiated magic, along with the amulets that the undead wore. Latia decided to try on Raisha's armor, and was surprised that it didn't seem to hinder her movement much, while Lightmane decided to take her shield. Everyone was afraid to handle the amulets or Raisha's staff after seeing it turn into a snake, so they left everything in the hall and started exploring the rest of the place. They found a stairway going to the lower level, but chose to explore everything up here first. They found 3 rooms that were the quarters for the clerics, and then they found a large temple area. On an altar made of stone were 4 bronze goblets and a bronze bowl. In the goblets were water, blood, a greenish liquid, and a bluish liquid. Lightmane, I say we don't touch anything in here. Latia, agreed. Let's leave this all for Jograth to play with. Perhaps he can get the clerics to explain what this all is and what it's used for. They soon came to a much larger room that also looked like a temple. There was an open door in the east wall, and beyond it they saw a room similar in size to where they had encountered all the zombies. They assumed this was where more zombies and/or skeletons were kept. They went back into the large temple area and again chose to not touch anything in it, for it all seemed quite evil in its appearance. The walls were covered by tapestries of deep purple with embroidered symbols and runes done in scarlet and gold and black thread. Jack still had the level 0 cantrip spell, Comprehend Languages, memorized, so he cast it on the runes, mostly out of curiosity. Jack, well, the runes say, death to all that is good, and evil will triumph over good. How lovely. They weren't quite sure what to make of those ominous words, but chose to ignore them for now, and started looking around. Behind one of the tapestries was another passageway that went south into a room that was 20 feet square, with a door on the east wall. The room was lavishly furnished with couches, cushions, soft, comfy chairs, and tables. On one table was a golden flagon with 9 golden cups. The door was open, and beyond was a 30-foot square room that was also lavishly furnished. This was clearly Raisha's quarters, which they all realized the moment they went inside. The room had a beautiful purple carpet with furniture of black wood with velvet upholstery, and a large bed in the northwest corner that was covered with silken covers with black and purple cushions and pillows. In the northeast corner was a beautiful fireplace. In the southeast corner was a large, beautiful looking wardrobe that was partly open. Inside were a lot of expensive looking clothes of various colors, along with 18 pairs of beautiful boots and shoes, also of varying colors and styles. And immediately Latia and Shinfia became captivated. Shinfia, look at all these beautiful clothes. I thought Raisha just wore purple and black, but clearly she had great taste. I just love all her outfits. But Latia was looking at all of Raisha's shoes. I know, but look at these shoes. I want them. I think I want everything in here. What do you say we put all of it in our large sacks and set them in our wheelbarrow? I'm serious. I want everything in here. Now I can't wait to get back to our apartment and try everything on. Jack, smiling now. Well, now that you girls have found the treasures that you've always been looking for, he said, smiling, I'm hoping she has more treasures that we would all like to see, if you know what I mean. They must be hidden here somewhere. The girls barely heard Jack, though. They were too busy holding up outfits for each other, as well as trying on shoes. So while the girls were busy looking at all of Raisha's beautiful outfits, everybody else started searching for secret doors, but found nothing. So they searched the temple, but again found nothing. Lightning. Okay, clearly we're missing something. They must have treasure somewhere. They have to. Her clothes alone cost a lot of money. There has to be a treasure room in this place. Phileas. Well, it's not like we don't have time. Perhaps it's down the stairs, back near the entrance. They were about to head there when Shinfia noticed something in the back of the wardrobe. Shinfia. Guys, I think I found that secret door you all were looking for. Check this out. Shinfia noticed a tiny crease in the back part of the wardrobe, and when she placed her hands on it, it opened up slightly. Beyond was a small 10-foot square room with a desk and chair, along with 4 beautiful-looking chests. 2 were fairly large, while the other 2 were about half their size. On the opposite wall was another door that appeared to be a secret door, easily seen from this side, but they probably walked right by it earlier. Belphin and Phileas checked everything for traps and found nothing, so Belphin opened the door. It went to the 20-foot wide hallway that they had just come from. Belphin. So not only did she keep her treasures inside here, but it was also a quick way back towards the clerics. Or maybe it was a way to escape. Phileas. Probably both. Let's open the chests. Tenneth. Before we do that, look at this. While Belphin and Phileas were examining the door, Tenneth started going through the drawers in the desk, since they didn't find any traps, and inside one was a letter written to Raisha. Tenneth. It's dated from more than a year ago. Latia. Nice. Well, you've got our attention. What does it say? Tenneth. To Raisha, the Lady of the Valley. First, let me congratulate you on achieving the 6th progression. The title Canon suits you well, but I bet within a year from now you will have achieved the title of Lama, and with a little luck, perhaps you will eventually attain the status of High Priestess before the 1,000 years ends. Talona would love to have 2 High Priestesses to celebrate the new millennium with, so here's hoping you can achieve it. In time, if all goes according to her plan, the keep shall be brought to their knees as you start cutting into their supply lines. Before you start having the monsters in the valley start attacking caravans, though, take some time and go with the clerics to the keep and spend some time there. Stay there for a few nights if you wish. The 4 chests I've sent you contain more treasure than you'll need in your lifetime, so go have some fun and buy whatever you'd like while you're there. There are almost always a few rich merchants there who I just know will love having you as a customer, so enjoy. But once you're done, leave and never return, until they are at our mercy, that is. Once you are back in your temple, begin the process of having the monsters start attacking the caravans. For the most part, let them keep what they steal, but as they bring prisoners to their caves, consider using the creatures in the coffins that I've sent you to turn some of them into zombies. Put the coffins in the crypt and keep the door bolted shut. They won't animate unless someone gets too close. You can control them, but no one else will be able to, so make sure no one ever goes in there. Next, only communicate with the chieftains and make sure they instruct the others to not attack any of the other monsters in the valley. They won't obey completely, but for the most part, your commands should keep them all from killing each other. The creature that's in the cave at the back of the valley is a female owlbear. She can't be controlled, so avoid her at all costs, but she'll only come out at night to hunt. So just instruct the chieftains to order everyone to never come to the back of the valley, especially when they go hunting at night. Next, use the scroll I've sent you to try to communicate with the Minotaur and see if you can get him to work with you, let alone to not kill all of the monsters here. He probably won't listen, but hopefully your words will get him to at least not attack them. Eventually the keep will be at your mercy. Once that happens, attack them with the full force of all the monsters who serve us, along with your undead army that you most surely will have built by then. Take as many prisoners as you can, some to use as slaves, and the rest to be turned into zombies or skeletons. Talona has revealed to me that her influence in Forestera will be greatly enhanced once the 1,000 years has ended. I look forward to ruling over the land together with you in the new millennium. It's signed Clavdrea, High Priestess of the 12th Order of Talona. Is her name pronounced Clavdrea or Clavdrea? I'm not sure, but it sounds like a couple of powerful undead creatures are in coffins in a crypt down those stairs. But regardless of that, I can't believe all that I just read. They read through the letter again, mostly for clarity. It was good to finally know all that had been going on in this valley and why. Jack took the letter and put it in his belt pouch with all his other notes. Well, wasn't that a lovely letter? I don't even know where to begin with everything it said. Nightwind, I do. Open the chest. I'm trying to envision what more treasure than you'll need in your lifetime looks like. The thought of finding such a vast treasure had everyone filled with excitement. Phileas and Belfin chose to open one of the large chests first. It wasn't locked. It was filled with thousands of copper coins. Phileas, full of excitement now. How many coins do you think that is? 20,000 maybe? Belfin, I'm guessing at least that many. Does that mean this one is filled with silver? Phileas, well, here's hoping. What if the other two smaller ones are filled with gold and platinum? Lightmane, well, if they are, it means that we're rich beyond our wildest dreams. But let's not get carried away here. 20,000 or more copper coins is a lot of money, though. Looks like we're going to need Marcus's wagon again. Belfin and Phileas opened the other large chest, and Belfin guessed right, for it was filled with at least 20,000 silver coins. Everyone was beside themselves with how much treasure they had just found. Latia, well, everyone, I'm a little scared now to open the other two. I've never seen so much money in my life. Everyone agreed, but nothing could have prepared them for what the last two chests contained. For in the third chest was around 10,000 gold coins, and in the fourth was around 5,000 platinum coins. They didn't know the exact amounts until they'd take the time to count them all, but they had a pretty good idea of how much there was there, along with the other two chests, which turned out to actually have closer to 30,000 coins each. The reality of how much treasure they had just found was more than any of them were prepared for. No one knew what to say, but eventually the math wizard spoke. Jack, okay, everyone, if my math is correct, just based on our guess at how much is actually here, 10 copper coins equals 1 silver coin, and 10 silver coins equals 1 gold coin, and 5 gold coins equals 1 platinum coin. So, the silver and copper is worth somewhere around 25 to 30,000, if our is around 25 to 30,000. If our guesses are correct, and there's around 8 to 10,000 gold and 4 to 5,000 platinum, That's that's the equivalent of around 300,000 to 400,000 coins. We're rich. Jilgrath, I have never seen so much money. I'm guessing none of you have either, but I don't need any of the money, since I can't go shopping in the keep. But if I could have everything in this temple, except for her clothes, of course, he said, looking over at Shinfia, I would be very happy. I'm considering making this place my home. There's lots of room, though, if anyone else would like to live here, he said, as he looked over at Tico and the puma. Tico, I would very much like to have this place as a second home. Mom and I love living in our huge tree, though, but the rooms where the clerics live are very nice, too. So if we could have one of those rooms, we would like that. Jilgrath, I would like that, too. Latia, Jilgrath, I think you should definitely get some of the money. We won. That means the attacks on the road will stop now. Well, maybe not entirely, since there's a bandit gang out there somewhere, and I'm sure monsters that live in the woods will occasionally still attack travelers on the road, but now no more so than any other road. Therefore, once we've finished here and gathered all this treasure, I say we go to the keep and buy you and the monsters here all the supplies that you all want and need. But with all this money, I'm sure there's plenty of other things that you would love to have too. Jilgrath, I would like that. How about we go down those stairs and explore the rest of this place? Latia, sounds good, but let's not bother going into the place where those creatures are. The letter says they're not animated, so let's just leave them there. Let's just make sure there's nothing alive down those stairs, and then let's go celebrate. Everyone agreed, so they went back to the stairs and explored the lower level. Down one passage was a torture chamber room and an empty cell with many manacles on the wall with lots of bloodstains. They assumed that whatever prisoners used to be here were eventually killed and then turned into skeletons or zombies. Another room was a huge storage room filled with tons of high-quality food and drink. Another set of stairs went down to a door that was bolted shut. So they turned around and went back up the stairs and quickly found another stairway down that went into a very nice room that was the living quarters for at least 2 people. Inside a small locked chest they found a spell book, which greatly excited all 4 wizards. But there was nothing alive anywhere, so they headed back upstairs. The adventurers were done here. The reality of that was finally starting to set in. They thought about the first time Tico had told them that there were 11 caves down in this valley. At that moment, the task before them seemed impossible. How could one party of adventurers destroy 11 lairs of monsters? Yet they did it. But the fact that they accomplished their goal not by destroying all of them, but by discovering that some of the monsters could be reasoned with and were actually willing to cooperate with them, still had them all amazed. Lightmane, you know, guys, I wonder if we would have won had we not gotten so many of the monsters here to switch sides. I'm still shocked that they did. It's funny that we're going to get all the credit for stopping the attacks when in truth the monsters here had just as much to do with it as we did. Just think about that for a second. Latia, Lightmane, I've been thinking about that from the day we met Kish. The reality of all that has happened here will probably continue to boggle my mind for years. But enough. We won. Let's celebrate here first, with all the monsters, and then let's go to the keep and let them all know what happened, and celebrate with all of them. Phileas, yes, but before we celebrate at the keep, let's get that wagon and load up all our coins first. Then we can really celebrate with everyone. First thing we should do, though, is buy some good locks for these chests. Everyone smiled at the gnome's words, and then they all headed out of the temple and into the valley to celebrate with all the monsters. Sheila, well, that was quite incredible to watch. Did you want to hang out some more and enjoy watching the celebrations, or do you need to get going? Shar, do you wish for me to leave now? Sheila, no, not at all. I just wasn't sure if watching them celebrate defeating Talona was something that interested you. Shar, the only thing Talona and I share in common is our love for the colors purple and black. Sheila, smiling now. Well, black isn't a color, but I'm sure you knew that. Shar, not smiling now. Yes, I knew that. Obviously, I knew that. Sheila. Well, you're the mistress of darkness, so I thought maybe you saw black as a color. Shar, smiling now. No, Sheila, black is the absence of light. But I'm sure you already knew that. The reason I love black, though, is because black represents the darkness, and I am the darkness, which is why all who worship the darkness worship me. Sheila. Well, actually, Shar, you're not the darkness. If you were, all I'd see when I look at you would be darkness. But that's not what I see. What I see is a beautiful woman who has beautiful, magical purple eyes that allow you to see in pitch blackness, an ability that no one else has, as far as I know. It's quite impressive, actually, the good you could do with that ability. Well, here's hoping that one day you choose to do so. Shar, not smiling again. You're right. I have no reason to stay any longer and watch them celebrate. Thank you for allowing me to come here and watch that epic battle with you all. But I must be leaving now. Shar then, just like that, vanished from their sight. Baal, looking deep in thought. It's interesting. Sheila. What's interesting? Baal. Shar. Sheila. Shar is not an it. Shar is a she. Baal. Yes, I'm sorry. She is interesting. Very interesting. Sheila. Really? How so? Baal. Raisha was beautiful, wasn't she? Sheila and Alana now looked at each other, a little surprised at Baal's words. Baal. What? I'm a half-elf, not a dog. I'm attracted to beautiful women just like any man. At this, Kurth started smiling. Sheila. Yes, she was. And so is Shar. Is that what you find interesting? That evil can be beautiful? Baal. Yes. Don't you find it interesting? We tend to associate beauty with good and ugliness with evil. When Shar said that Talona is hideous looking, I associated her ugliness with the fact that she was evil. Yet Raisha was beautiful, as is Shar. It makes me wonder if someone as hideous looking as Talona could one day become good. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Though in truth, if I had the power to turn either Shar or Talona to good, but could only turn one, I'd totally pick Shar. Sheila. Because she's beautiful. Baal. Yes, he said longingly. Sheila. Sounds to me like you've got a little crush on Shar. Baal, smiling now. Really? Whatever gave you that idea? Everyone just smiled, sat back, and continued to watch the adventurers.
Well, no one told me about her. What could I do?